The massive screen at the United Nations Space Command Center showed something that made everyone's blood run cold. Hundreds of unknown ships were moving toward Earth, their signals unlike anything humans had seen before. General Sarah Chen stood at the front of the room, her face tight with worry, as she watched the dots move closer to their solar system. The ships had first appeared near Neptune's orbit just 6 hours ago, and now they were already passing Saturn. "How fast are they moving?" she asked the young technician at the main computer. "Much faster than our best ships, General. They'll reach Earth in less than 48 hours, he replied, his fingers flying over the keyboard as he tracked their movement. The room was filled with the soft beeping of computers and worried whispers. Military leaders from different countries watched the screen, their faces showing the same fear. These ships were clearly not human, and they were heading straight for Earth. Suddenly, all the screens in the room flickered. A new message appeared, but it wasn't from the alien ships. Instead, it came from somewhere on Earth. To the United Nations Space Command. "We are the Guardians. We have been preparing for this day for 20 years. We can protect Earth. Let us handle this." General Chen frowned. "Track that signal," she ordered. "We can't, General," another technician said. It's like the signal is coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time." Before they could figure out more about this mysterious message, the alien fleet sent their first communication. The main screen changed to show a tall, gray-skinned creature. Its black eyes looked down at them with what seemed like amusement. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English, though its mouth moved strangely. "We are the Drachnid Empire. Your planet has resources we need. Surrender now, and we will let some of you live as our workers. Resist, and we will destroy you all." The room erupted in chaos. Military leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to surrender to save lives. Others wanted to fight, even though Earth's weapons were probably useless against ships that could travel so fast. Then the mysterious Guardian sent another message, this time to both the UN Command and the alien fleet. "Drachnid Empire, this is your only warning. Turn back now. Earth is protected. If you continue your approach, you will be destroyed." The alien commander's laugh echoed through the speakers. "Protected? By what? We have scanned your planet. Your most powerful weapons are like children's toys to us. Your fastest ships would take years to reach where we are now. What could you possibly do to stop us?" "This is not a negotiation," the Guardian's message replied. "This is a warning. You have 1 hour to turn around. If any of your ships cross Mars' orbit, none of you will return home." The alien commander's amusement turned to anger. "You dare threaten the Drachnid Empire? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your pathetic planet will be ours by sunset tomorrow." The transmission cut off. On the screen, the alien ships continued moving forward, now passing Jupiter. "General," a scientist called out from her station, "I'm detecting strange energy readings from somewhere on Earth. It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Her eyes widened as she looked at her readings. "The energy levels, they're increasing. They're already stronger than anything we've ever recorded." General Chen looked at the data, then back at the screen showing the approaching alien fleet. The mysterious Guardians had given the aliens 1 hour to turn back. The clock was ticking. "Whatever's about to happen," she said quietly, "I hope these Guardians know what they're doing. Because if they're wrong, this might be humanity's last day." The room fell silent except for the steady beeping of the tracking systems. On the main screen, the alien fleet moved closer and closer to Mars, ignoring the warning completely. They would cross the red planet's orbit in exactly 58 minutes. The scientist's computer suddenly started beeping frantically. The energy readings were now off the charts, and they were still growing stronger. Whatever the Guardians were planning, it was about to begin. High above Earth, watching through their powerful telescopes, the aliens continued to laugh at the humans' warning. They had no idea they were about to learn why it's dangerous to underestimate humanity. 20 years ago, Antarctic Research Station Delta. Dr. James Chen huddled deeper into his thick coat as he stared at the strange readings on his ice-penetrating radar. The wind howled outside the research station, but that wasn't what made him shiver. It was what he saw buried 2 miles beneath the ice. "Maria, come look at this," he called to his research partner. "Have you ever seen ice formations like these?" Dr. Maria Rodriguez walked over, her coffee cup steaming in the cold air. As soon as she saw the screen, she nearly dropped her drink. "Those aren't ice formations, James. They're too perfect, too symmetrical." The radar showed a massive structure under the ice, shaped like a perfect hexagon. Inside it were smaller shapes that seemed to pulse with energy readings unlike anything their equipment had ever detected. "Whatever this is," Maria said, "it's not natural. And it's not alien either." She pointed to strange symbols along the edges of the structure. "Look at these markings. They're ancient human writing. A mix of Sanskrit and something else I'd never seen." Before they could discuss it further, both their phones buzzed at the same time. The message was from someone they'd never heard of, marked URGNT, Guardian Protocol. "Your discovery must remain secret," the message read. "In 48 hours, a team will arrive. What you found is humanity's last defense. The fate of Earth depends on your silence." Present day, same Antarctic station. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, now 20 years older, stood in the massive underground chamber they had carefully excavated around the ancient structure. The hexagonal building now hummed with power, its walls glowing with soft blue light. Hundreds of scientists and engineers worked at stations around it, monitoring its growing energy levels. Energy output at 60% and rising. A young technician reported. The alien fleet just passed Jupiter's orbit. Maria touched the warm metal wall of the structure. After 20 years of study, they finally understood what their ancestors had built and hidden here. It wasn't just a weapon, it was something far more incredible. "Dr. Rodriguez," another scientist called out, "we're detecting similar structures activating around the world, just as the ancient texts predicted. One under the Sahara Desert, another in the Pacific Ocean, and a third in the Himalayan mountains." Maria nodded. When they'd first found these structures, they'd thought they'd discovered their ancestors' greatest weapon. Instead, they'd found something far more profound. Proof that ancient humans had been far more advanced than anyone had imagined. The chamber's main screen showed the alien fleet, still approaching with arrogant confidence. They had no idea they were flying straight into a trap laid by humans thousands of years ago. "Send word to the other facilities," Maria ordered. "Begin power synchronization. When those ships cross Mars' orbit, they're going to learn why our ancestors left us these devices." A young engineer looked up from his station, his face pale. "Dr. Rodriguez, we've never actually tested the system at full power. The ancient texts warned that activating all 4 structures at once could have unexpected effects." Maria watched the alien ships on the screen. They were so confident, so sure of their superiority, just like the others who had come before them, thousands of years ago. The ones her ancestors had defeated, using these same structures. "Our ancestors built these chambers as a last resort," she said. "They knew someday humanity would face an enemy we couldn't defeat with conventional weapons. They left us everything we needed. We just had to be smart enough to find it and brave enough to use it." The chamber's hum grew louder. On the screens, energy readings from all 4 sites began to sync up. Ancient machinery, hidden for thousands of years, was waking up. "Energy readings at 80%, the technician reported. The fleet will reach Mars orbit in 15 minutes. Maria looked at the ancient symbols carved into the walls, now glowing with that same strange blue light. She and her team had spent 20 years decoding them, learning the truth about humanity's past, and preparing for this moment. "They think we're primitive," she said quietly. "They're about to find out just how wrong they are." Suddenly, all the lights in the chamber flickered. One of the ancient symbols on the wall began pulsing with bright light. "Dr. Rodriguez," a scientist shouted in panic. Something's happening. The structure. It's doing something we've never seen before. The alien fleet had no idea, but they were about to witness the rebirth of humanity's greatest achievement and their own worst nightmare. The Drachnid commander stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, his gray skin glowing under the red emergency lights. Their ships had just entered Mars' orbit, and he was preparing to show these primitive humans exactly why the Drachnid Empire was feared across 3 galaxies. "Put me through to their pathetic United Nations again," he ordered. "Let's see how brave they are now." On Earth, every TV channel, phone, and computer screen suddenly showed the alien commander's face. His black eyes seemed to glow with cruel amusement. "People of Earth," he announced, "you have ignored our generous offer. Now we will demonstrate our power. Watch and understand your mistake." The alien fleet's largest ship turned toward Phobos, Mars's largest moon. A beam of green energy shot out, hitting the moon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Phobos began to crack, splitting apart like an egg. In seconds, Mars's moon shattered into millions of pieces. At the UN Space Command, General Chen watched in horror. Their most powerful nuclear weapons wouldn't even scratch those ships, and the aliens had just destroyed a moon like it was nothing. "My God," someone whispered, "how can we fight against that?" Deep under the Antarctic ice, Dr. Rodriguez and her team watched the destruction too. But instead of fear, their instruments showed something extraordinary. Energy spike detected. A technician shouted, "The ancient structure, it's responding to their weapon." The hexagonal structure's walls were now pulsing with bright blue light. On their screens, similar spikes appeared from the other 3 sites around the world. "They did exactly what we hoped," Maria said, studying the readings. "The ancient texts were right. Their weapons are still based on the same principles as before." And now, she typed quickly on her console, bringing up a complex diagram. "Now we know exactly how their technology works." The alien commander's voice boomed through every speaker again. "That was just a small demonstration. In 1 hour, we will do the same to your moon. Then, we will target your major cities. Unless..." Suddenly, his transmission cut off. A new voice filled the airwaves. The same computerized voice the Guardians had used before. "Scan complete. Drachnid weapons analyzed. Countermeasures prepared. Final warning. Leave now." The alien commander's face returned, now twisted with rage. "You dare interrupt ME? For this insult, we will destroy your moon now." The massive alien ship turned toward Earth's moon. The green energy beam shot out again, even more powerful than before. Everyone on Earth watched, holding their breath. But something strange happened. Just before the beam could hit the moon, it bent. Like light hitting water, the deadly beam curved away into space. In the Antarctic facility, alarms were blaring. "Energy absorption at 100%. A scientist yelled. "All 4 sites are in perfect sync." Maria stared at her readings in amazement. "It's not just defending," she whispered. "The system is learning, adapting. Every weapon they fire teaches it more about their technology." The alien commander was screaming orders now. "Impossible. Fire all weapons, full power." Hundreds of green energy beams shot toward Earth from the alien fleet, but each one curved away, some even turning back toward the alien ships, forcing them to dodge their own weapons. "How?" the commander roared. "Their planet showed no signs of advanced technology. Our scans showed nothing." In the Antarctic chamber, the ancient structure's hum had become a deep roar. The symbols on the walls were blazing with light so bright it hurt to look at them. "Dr. Rodriguez," a young scientist said nervously, "the system is accessing parts of its programming we've never seen before. It's not just defending anymore. It's preparing something." Maria watched as new symbols appeared on the walls, glowing with a different, darker blue light. She recognized them from the ancient texts, and her blood ran cold. "Clear the chamber," she ordered. Everyone out. Now. But Dr. Rodriguez. Now, she shouted. What's about to happen? Our ancestors wrote that it should only be witnessed through shields. Get to the observation room. As the teen ran for safety, Maria took one last look at the ancient structure. Its glow had turned from blue to a deep, pulsing purple. The alien commander was about to learn why the ancient texts had called this system the Star Eater. Behind thick safety glass in the Antarctic facility's observation room, Dr. Rodriguez watched as the ancient structure transformed. The purple light had spread through the entire chamber, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with power. All readings are off the charts, a technician reported, his voice shaking. The other 3 sites report the same thing. The system is drawing power from somewhere else. Not Earth, not our solar system. It's like it's reaching into another dimension. Through their secure channel, General Chen's voice crackled. Dr. Rodriguez, we're seeing something strange up here. The alien fleet. They're starting to panic. In space, the Drachnid ships were frantically changing positions. Their sensors had detected something that should have been impossible. Energy readings that matched their most advanced weapons, but far more powerful. The alien commander paced on his bridge, his gray skin now pale with worry. How? This planet was primitive. We scanned every inch. He turned to his science officer. Explain this. Commander. The science officer's voice trembled. These energy signatures, they're similar to the legendary weapons of the ancients. The ancients, the commander scoffed. They vanished 50,000 years ago. These humans are barely out of their caves. Sir, another officer interrupted. You need to see this. The main screen showed Earth, but something was different. 4 points on the planet: Antarctica, the Sahara, the Pacific Ocean, and the Himalayas were glowing with brilliant purple light. And now streams of that same light were rising into space, forming a giant web around Earth. In the Antarctic observation room, Maria understood what was happening. The ancient texts, she whispered. They weren't just instructions. They were a warning about what this system could do. She turned to her team. Our ancestors didn't just build a weapon. They built something that could rewrite the laws of physics in a small area of space. That's why they called it the Star Eater. The alien commander had also realized something was very wrong. All ships, open fire, full power, destroy those energy sources before. He never finished his sentence. The purple energy web surrounding Earth suddenly pulsed. In an instant, every alien weapon fired at Earth was not just stopped. It vanished. The energy simply ceased to exist. Impossible. The commander screamed. Nothing can destroy energy. It violates every law of physics. In the observation room, Maria watched the readings with a mix of awe and fear. That's exactly what it does, she said. It doesn't destroy energy. It sends it. Somewhere else. Somewhere outside our universe. The purple web was growing stronger, expanding outward toward the alien fleet. Any ship that tried to fire through it had their weapons simply disappear. It was like a hole in reality itself, spreading through space. Dr. Rodriguez, a scientist, called out. The system is accessing its final protocols. These symbols, they're changing. On the chamber walls, the ancient symbols were shifting, rearranging themselves into new patterns. Maria read them, her eyes widening. No, she whispered. They didn't build this to defend Earth. They built it to make sure what happened to them could never happen again. In space, the alien commander watched in horror as the purple web reached his outer ships. Where it touched them, their energy shields flickered and died. Retreat, he ordered. All ships, full power to engines. Get us out of. But the ancient system had other plans. The purple web suddenly blazed with blinding light, and a new type of energy began to form, something that made both humans and aliens stare in disbelief. In the observation room, emergency alarms screamed. Dr. Rodriguez, someone shouted. You need to see these readings. The system, it's not just affecting their weapons anymore. It's changing something fundamental about space itself. Maria stared at the screens, finally understanding the true purpose of what their ancestors had built. This wasn't just a defensive system, or even a weapon. It was a reset button for the laws of physics themselves. And it was about to show the Drachnid Empire exactly why the ancients they feared so much had chosen Earth as their final stronghold. In the endless void of space, reality itself was beginning to unravel. The purple energy web spreading from Earth had turned into a shimmering wall of light that defied understanding. Where it touched the alien ships, something impossible happened. Their technology simply stopped working. The Drachnid commander watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to fall apart, not through explosion or destruction, but through something far stranger. "Report," he screamed at his science officer. "What's happening to our ships?" The science officer stared at readings that made no sense. "Sir, the laws of physics, they're different inside that energy field. Our technology relies on certain universal constants, but in there," he pointed to the screens showing their outer ships. "In there, those constants are changing." Inside the Antarctic observation room, Dr. Rodriguez and her team watched as the ancient system revealed its true power. The chamber walls were now covered in rapidly shifting symbols, telling a story that had waited 50,000 years to be read. "Now I understand," Maria whispered, reading the symbols. "Our ancestors didn't just hide their technology from alien invaders. They hid the truth about reality itself." A young scientist looked up from his readings. "Dr. Rodriguez, the system is accessing its final stage. It's changing the fundamental forces around Earth." On every screen, they could see the effects. The alien ships closest to the purple field were experiencing something unprecedented. Their metal hulls began to shimmer, becoming transparent as the laws that held their atoms together shifted. In the UN Space Command Center, General Chen received urgent messages from astronomers worldwide. "The stars behind the alien fleet," one astronomer reported, voice shaking. They're bending. Like light itself is following new rules in that region of space." The alien commander had finally realized the full extent of his mistake. "The ancients," he said, his voice filled with terror. "The legends were true. They didn't die out. They didn't leave. They stayed on Earth and became human." In the observation room, Maria watched as new symbols appeared on the chamber walls. These were different, not instructions or warnings, but a message. "To our children," she translated, reading aloud. "If you are seeing these words, you have awakened our last gift. We could have destroyed our enemies, but destruction breeds only more destruction. Instead, we chose to change the rules." The purple field had now engulfed half the alien fleet. Their ships hung motionless, caught in a space where their technology couldn't function, where the very laws they relied on no longer applied. The system isn't destroying them, Maria realized. It's changing space itself into a form their technology can't exist in. Like trying to run modern software on an ancient computer, it simply won't work. The alien commander made one last transmission, but his image was distorted, flickering. You're not primitives. You're them, the ones who wrote the laws of physics. And now, you're rewriting them. In the chamber below, the ancient structure's purple glow had become blindingly bright. The symbols on the walls were moving faster now, showing complex equations that described a different version of reality, one that humans had written long ago. "Final sequence initiating," a technician announced. "Whatever it's going to do, it's happening now." Maria looked at the last message appearing on the walls. Her eyes widened as she understood what their ancestors had really built. "They didn't give us a weapon," she said. "They gave us the source code of the universe." The purple field flared one final time, expanding to encompass the entire alien fleet. In that moment, the rules of reality shifted, and the mighty Drachnid Empire learned why some powers are best left undisturbed. Their ships didn't explode. They didn't break apart. Instead, they simply faded away, like a computer program that could no longer run in a changed operating system. The aliens had come expecting to find primitive humans. Instead, they had found the descendants of those who had written the laws of physics itself, and those descendants had just remembered how to change them. As the alien fleet faded from existence, a profound silence fell across Earth. In orbit, astronauts on the International Space Station watched in awe as the purple field of altered physics slowly retracted, like a flower closing its petals. But in the Antarctic facility, alarms were blaring. Dr. Rodriguez, a technician, shouted, "The system, it's not shutting down. It's transforming." The ancient structure had begun to change. Its hexagonal walls were shifting, panels sliding away to reveal something hidden beneath. Inside the chamber, new rooms were appearing, filled with technology that had waited 50,000 years to be discovered. Our ancestors left us more than just a defense system, Maria realized, reading the new symbols appearing on the walls. This was all a test. They wanted to make sure we would only find this when we were ready. In space, the last traces of the Drachnid fleet had vanished, but their disappearance had caught the attention of others. Across the galaxy, advanced civilizations detected the energy signature of what had happened and recognized it. Dr. Rodriguez, General Chen's voice came through the comm system. "We're receiving transmissions, hundreds of them, from all over the galaxy." On the main screen, message after message appeared. They weren't hostile. They weren't even surprised. They were apologetic. To the children of the architects, one message read, "We apologize for not recognizing you sooner. Your disguise as an emerging civilization was perfect. We understand now. You were hiding in plain sight." Maria watched as the ancient structure revealed its final secret. The walls parted to show a massive control room, filled with displays showing the entire galaxy. But these weren't just maps. They were status reports. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Earth isn't just our planet. It's a monitoring station. Our ancestors, they weren't just advanced. They were the galaxy's caretakers." In the newly revealed control room, holographic displays showed thousands of inhabited worlds. Each one had been subtly guided, protected, allowed to develop at their own pace. The Drachnids had been one of the few who had grown too aggressive, too quickly. Final activation sequence complete, the ancient system announced, speaking for the first time in a clear, human voice. Genetic verification confirmed. Full access granted to the children of the architects. The displays showed more. Massive engineering projects throughout the galaxy, stellar nurseries where new stars were being born, hyperspace lanes carefully maintained for safe travel. All of it had been running automatically, waiting for humanity to reclaim their inheritance. We weren't meant to just defend Earth, Maria realized. We were meant to remember who we are, what we were, what we're supposed to be. In orbit, more alien ships were appearing, but these weren't attackers. They were diplomats, representatives, pilgrims, all coming to welcome humanity back to their role as the galaxy's guardians. The ancient system was still changing, growing. The hidden rooms expanded, revealing libraries of knowledge, technological wonders, and historical records that told the true story of human civilization. Dr. Rodriguez, a young scientist, called out, "Look at this message. It's instructions for what we're supposed to do next." On the main wall, final set of symbols appeared. Maria read them aloud, her voice filled with wonder. "To our children, the disguise is no longer needed. You have proven yourselves worthy of your inheritance. The galaxy needs its architects again. It's time to remember not just how to defend, but how to create, how to nurture, how to guide. Welcome back to your true purpose." As if responding to these words, the purple energy field pulsed one last time. But now, instead of defensive barriers, it spread through the solar system like a gentle wave, activating ancient machines that had laid dormant beneath every planet's surface. Earth wasn't just humanity's home. It was their command center. and they had finally earned the right to take their place as the galaxy's protectors once again. The ancient structure hummed with new power, ready to teach humanity everything they had forgotten. The time of hiding was over. The architects had returned. 1 month after the Drachnid incident, the Antarctic facility had changed beyond recognition. Where there had once been ice and metal walls, now crystalline structures pulsed with soft light, filled with holographic displays showing thousands of worlds across the galaxy. Dr. Maria Rodriguez stood at the central control panel, watching as humanity took its first steps back into a much larger role. Status report, she called out to her expanded team, now including representatives from every nation on Earth. The Mars transformation is proceeding as planned, reported Dr. Chen, General Chen's daughter. The ancient terraforming systems are turning it back into what it was 50,000 years ago, a green world. On the main screen, they could see the red planet changing. Ancient machines, buried deep beneath its surface, were releasing stored atmospheres, melting the ice caps, and awakening dormant ecosystems that had been preserved in stasis for millennia. But that wasn't the most remarkable change. Ambassador Chen. Maria turned to the former general, now Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. How are the other civilizations responding? Sarah Chen smiled, her new uniform displaying the symbol of the architects, a purple spiral representing the boundless nature of creation. Better than we could have imagined. The aggressive species are standing down. The peaceful ones are offering cooperation. And the young civilizations, they're looking to us for guidance, just as our ancestors intended. The room's displays showed scenes from across the galaxy. The hyperspace lanes, ancient trade routes that had fallen into disrepair, were being reactivated. Dead stars were being rekindled through technology that humanity was only beginning to remember how to use. And on 1,000 worlds, species that had been at war for centuries were finding common ground under humanity's guidance. Dr. Rodriguez, a young scientist, called out, "We've decoded another section of the architect's database. It's about why they chose to hide themselves, why they became us." Maria walked to his station, reading the ancient text. Finally, after months of questions, they had their answer. They saw it coming, she said softly. A great darkness between the stars, something that hunts civilizations that grow too powerful, too quickly. Our ancestors didn't hide because they were afraid. They hid because they needed to evolve, to become something new. The displays showed more, the true scope of what humanity had been. Not just powerful, but wise. Not just technologically advanced, but spiritually and ethically evolved. They had hidden themselves, become primitive again, so they could grow naturally into their power. "Incoming transmission," announced the communication officer. "It's from the Drachnid homeworld." Everyone tensed, but the message wasn't hostile. On the screen appeared a young Drachnid, their gray skin marked with the blue stripes of a scholar. "Honored architects," the young alien said, bowing deeply. "We understand now. Our empire's aggression came from fear. Fear of being weak, of being controlled. We request guidance. Teach us a better way." Maria looked at her team, seeing the same expression on every face. This was why their ancestors had done it. Not to rule, not to control, but to guide, to help. In orbit above Earth, the first of the new architect ships was nearing completion. But unlike the warships of the Drachnids, these vessels were created for exploration, for healing, for bringing life to dead worlds. Their hulls shimmered with the same purple energy that had defended Earth, but now it would be used to create rather than negate. "Final message decoded," announced the computer. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, a figure in ancient robes, recording their final message before the Great Sleep began. "To our descendants," the figure said, speaking in perfectly clear English, "if you're seeing this, you've done more than remember who you are. You've become who you needed to be. The galaxy doesn't need conquerors or rulers. It needs gardeners, teachers, healers. It needs humanity, not as we were, but as you have become." The hologram smiled. The great darkness still sleeps between the stars. But now, you're ready, not to fight it, but to enlighten it. That was always our way. Not to destroy, but to transform. Not to end, but to begin. Maria looked out the window at the Antarctic sky, where the aurora borealis now danced with purple lights, a sign of the ancient machines awakening across the solar system. "Send a message to all stations," she said. "It's time to begin Phase 2. Across Earth, more facilities were awakening. Under the Sahara, ancient climate control systems stirred, ready to green the desert. Beneath the Pacific, cities that had slept for 50,000 years began to rise. In the Himalayas, gateways to other dimensions prepared to open. Humanity had passed the test. They had proven they could face an enemy without becoming like them. They had shown they could hold power without being corrupted by it. They had remembered not just what they were, but what they could be. The age of hiding was over. The age of transformation had begun. And somewhere in the great darkness between the stars, something ancient stirred, sensing the return of its old friends. This time, things would be different. This time, humanity was ready. This time, even the darkness would learn to dance with the light.